Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Good afternoon. Slide number 2. 4 classes of consciousness, right? 4 classes of consciousness. You got it? Yes. Okay, good. 4 classes of consciousness. Classified by way of plane. We call it Bhumi Beda, by way of plane. So we have a 31 planes of existence, right? We have a 31 planes of existence. So those 31 will be classified into, categorized into 4. So the first one is Kama Vajra Cheda. Kama Vajra Cheda. So now I think we will learn in Pali. We will use Pali terms. So here actually I also provide the meaning, sense-sphere consciousness. So we will have 54 Kama Vajra Cheda. So here you can see the translation sense sphere, right? Sense sphere. So we have a senses like an eye, ear, nose, the tongue, the body, right? Especially these five. So based on those senses, we have consciousness or the mind. Those minds are called Kama Vajra, sense sphere consciousness. I see somebody or something. By seeing that person or that thing, then series of mind will come to me, A series of mind will arise. So that mind or that consciousness is called Kama Vajra Cheda. Then I hear a sound. Then after that, I have a series of mind process. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it, sometimes neutral, right? So all these are sense sphere consciousness. Because those series of mind arises based on senses, ear. Sometimes by smelling, sometimes by eating. Here the Brahma do not eat. They do not need to eat. So therefore, they don't have, tongue consciousness. They don't have a tongue consciousness. But here, as a human being, we have a tongue. We eat. Then after that, series of consciousness. Sometimes negative, sometimes positive, right? They arise. So those consciousness are called sense sphere consciousness. We have 54. Then another one is Rupa Vajra Cheda. 50 Rupa Vajra Cheda. 5 material sphere consciousness. These are, these chetas are higher one. Especially they arise in the Brahma realms. Brahma. Even though they have material phenomena, their material phenomena is very fine, very subtle, right? So therefore we call it fine material sphere consciousness, Rupa Vajra Cheda. Rupa Vajra Cheda. So actually these Cheda arises in the Brahma realm especially, but when you practice meditation, you can attain jhanas. So the moment you attain jhana, you have all these one. You have all these one. 5 material sphere consciousness. If you can overcome sense sphere consciousness, sense sphere, then you can attain 5 material sphere consciousness. Right? 5 material sphere consciousness. Especially these are material, how to say the meditative, we can say that meditative consciousness. Meditative consciousness. When you practice concentration, meditation, samatha, then you can attain jhanas. The moment you attain jhana, even as a human being, you can have all these one, rupa, vajra, cetas. But of course, when you become Brahma in the Brahma realm, then you will have, mostly they have all these 50 rupa, vajra, ceta. 5 material sphere consciousness. Normally, as a human being, we are, we have a series of consciousness. Those consciousness arises based on our senses. By seeing something, series of mind consciousness will arise. They are called sense sphere. By smelling, by tasting, by touching with your body, by hearing, mind process will arise. Those mind process, we call it kama vajra. When you meditate, the moment you attain jhana, you are not seeing anything, you are not hearing anything, no smell, no taste, no touch, no physical touch. Only the mind is working, functioning. Only the mind is functioning. 5 senses totally shut down. At that particular moment, you have meditative bliss in the mind, in the mind. So therefore, 5 material sphere consciousness transcends sense sphere, your senses. Only the mind is working by that time. So therefore, normally as a human being, we trying to find out happiness. We're trying to find happiness, right? Find out happiness by seeing something, by seeing movie, by listening music, right? By eating a good food, by buying perfume like that, right? Smelling perfume, by touching with the body, you find enjoyment. Normally, those enjoyments are not long-lasting. Normally, it lasts for a few minutes, right? Not even a few hours. Our happiness is not long-lasting. So therefore, those who want to get long-lasting happiness or enjoyment, you trying to attain rupa, vajra, cetas, jhana cetas. So you don't need anything. You don't need anybody, to get happiness. To get sensual happiness, we need a lot of assistance, right? People, food, the places, beautiful places like that. But when you attain rupa, vajra, ceta, jhana happiness, you don't need anybody. If you have a quiet place, enough. You don't need to spend money for that, right? So therefore, in Singapore, there are so many quiet places, a lot of park, right? And you can go there and meditate, right? You can get, higher happiness, long-lasting, and also less cost, less cost. Another one is, this one is also more stable. Rupa, vajra, ceta, immaterial sphere consciousness. Second one, rupa, vajra, ceta, how to say, need to rely on 5 material phenomena. But when you go to number 3, rupa, vajra, ceta, immaterial. You don't need to rely on physical one, material one. So only the mind is working, only the mind. So therefore it's long lasting. So the Brahma in Arupa Brahma realm, so their lifespan is so long that, we cannot calculate how many billions of years. Billions of years. We cannot calculate. So therefore we have to calculate the lifespan of the planet or universe. We can see that. So the last one is Lokottara Chaita. We have 8 Lokottara Chaita. We call it supramundane consciousness, Lokottara. Lokottara means transcends the world. Transcends the world. So it transcends sense sphere. It transcends Rupa and Arupa. Rupa and Arupa. It's not a place. It's not a place. Actually, we already talked about it, right? It's not a place. It is a kind of mental achievement, not a mental state. When you don't have negative mental state in your mind, you will experience Lokottara, supramundane consciousness. We have 8 supramundane consciousness. So altogether, we will have 89 chaitas. Altogether, we will have 89 chaitas. 54 Kama Vajra Chaita, 50 Rupa Vajra Chaita, 12 Arupa Vajra Chaita, and 8 Lokottara Chaita. We're trying to memorize in Pali. 54 Kama Vajra Chaita. Can you repeat? Kama Vajra Chaita, Rupa Vajra Chaita, Arupa Vajra Chaita, Lokottara Chaita. Okay, so I think you need to memorize. Later, I will not use in English. So it's easier for us to learn. Shorter. It's shorter. Kama Vajra, Rupa Vajra, Arupa Vajra, Lokottara. Sometimes I will say Kama, Rupa, Arupa, Lokottara. Like that, right? Okay, so let's talk about Vajra Chaita. So we have a 54 sense sphere Chaitas. So the first one is 12 Akusala Chaita. We have a unwholesome consciousness, right? Sometimes we have a Lobha Chaita, we have a Dosa Chaita, we have a Moha Chaita. So therefore they are called sense sphere Chaitas. Then 80 Ahituka Chaita, 80 rootless consciousness. Then 24 Kama Vajra Sobhana. Here, Kama Vajra Sobhana. Sobhana is beautiful. Sobhana is beautiful. Kama Vajra Sobhana Chaita. Akusala Chaita, Ahituka Chaita, Kama Vajra Sobhana Chaita. Sobhana Chaita. Can you repeat after me? Akusala Chaita, Ahituka Chaita, Kama Vajra Sobhana Chaita. Kama Vajra Sobhana Chaita. Yeah, Sobhana. Okay, so these are 54 Kama Vajra Chaita. Kama Vajra Chaita. Okay, up to here, you have any question or anything you want to know? Classes of consciousness. Classified by way of nature, by way of their characteristics. By way of nature, so we are going to learn 89 chaitas. So those 89 will be classified by way of nature. Jati Beda. So the first one is Akusala Chaita, unwholesome consciousness. The second one is Kusala, wholesome one, wholesome consciousness, Kusala Chaita. So the third one is Vipaka Chaita, resultant consciousness. And the last one is Kriya Chaita, functional consciousness. Akusala, Kusala, Vipaka Chaita, Kriya Chaita. Okay? Can you repeat after me? Akusala Chaita, Kusala Chaita, Vipaka Chaita, Kriya Chaita. Okay, so before we learn 89 Chaita, we need to know these 4 classifications. No? Akusala, some Chaitas are Akusala, some are Kusala, some are Vipaka, some are Kriya. So now let's talk about what is Akusala. Slide number 6. Akusala Chaitas. Were you unwholesome Chaita? So Akusala Chaitas are called unwholesome because they are mentally unhealthy. Mentally unhealthy. When you have anger in your mind, you're not healthy, right? Your mind is not healthy. Not healthy mind, right? Not healthy mind. When you have greedy mind, similarly, jealous mind, your mind is not healthy. You're not healthy mind. You don't have a healthy mind. Morally blameworthy. Morally blameworthy. Because of anger, you're trying to do unwholesome thing. You're trying to blame other people. You're trying to kill, and also you're trying to beat other people. So morally blameworthy. You don't have a moral. You don't have an ethic, right? Moral ethic. And protective of painful result. Protective of painful result. So when you beat other people, when you trying to harm other people, other sentient being, then you will have, a painful result. Painful result. Suppose you're trying to harm, somebody, then you'll be reported to police, right? Reported to police. Then even you must go to jail because of that, because of your actions. So that action because of anger, you angry somebody, then you trying to harm. You're trying to make a harmful actions. Because of that, you have a negative consequences, right? So therefore, protective of painful result. So when you are doing something with the akusala chaita, then you have a painful result. So here, akusala means unwholesome, because mentally unhealthy, morally blameworthy, protective of painful result. So this is the meaning of akusala. Akusala chaitas are chaitas rooted in one or another of the 3 unwholesome roots. So akusala chaita rooted in 3 roots: greed, hatred, and delusion. Greed, hatred, and delusion. You steal property of other people because you want it, because of the greed. You kill somebody or even an insect because of anger, like that. So you do something because of delusion. Delusion, you don't know what is right thing to do or right thing not to do. Wrong thing not to do, like that. Because of delusion. So when you do unwholesome things, those unwholesome things, you do unwholesome things because of akusala chaita. Akusala chaitas in 3 roots. Because of greed, because of hatred, because of delusion. So therefore we call it 3 unwholesome roots. Akusala mula are stated by the Buddha in many suttas as the root of all unwholesome deed. The root of all unwholesome deed. So when you do unwholesome actions, unwholesome things in your life, because of three root. Because of three root. In many suttas. So here we are learning Abhidhamma, right? Abhidhamma. You might think that Lobha, Dosa, Moha can be found only in Abhidhamma. You might think that. No. Sutta also, many places the Buddha mentioned that our unwholesome actions are starting from Lobha, Dosa, Moha. Because of law, because of dosa, because of moha. One of them is the Kalama Sutta, right? Kalama Sutta, you know everyone. Kalama Sutta is very well-known suttas. In that sutta, the Buddha talk about three root. We do unwholesome actions, we kill, we steal, because of lobha, dosa, moha, right? So therefore, we are going to learn akusala chaitas, akusala chaita, and also you must know the root of akusala chaita, lobha, dosa, moha. Last week, we talked about Nibbana, right? Venerable Sariputta explained what is Nibbana. Destruction of lobha, dosa, moha. Right? You experience unpleasant thing in your life. You don't have dosa here. Right? Your mind is peaceful. You hear somebody blame you, somebody criticize you. You're able to listen to them mindfully. Your mind is not hot, right? Very cool, very cool. That's Nibbana bliss. That's Nibbana bliss, right? Actually, even though you encounter, pleasant things, attractive things in your life, you don't have attachment to them. You just use it because it is necessary, right? Because it is necessary. People say that women always complain, I don't have nothing to wear to attend the wedding, But there are a lot, a lot of clothing, a lot of clothing, quite natural, quite natural. But especially the clothing, the clothes to cover your body, right? To protect from weather, hot weather, cool weather, that's all, right? That's all, nothing else. But the moment you can reduce the amount of lobha, you will not care about your clothing, You can look at the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, He always wears a simple one, right? Simple one. I like it. I like only that part, and I don't know the other part. I don't know the other part, Actually, they live a simple life, I think they may have only a few clothing. Therefore, especially when you crave for clothing, if you can afford it, okay. If you cannot afford it, there will be a comparing mind, You are trying to compare with your friend. My friend can wear a branded one. I cannot wear. Then here, unhappiness came in, right? Happiness came in. If you lead a simple life regarding with the clothes, you know that the clothing is just to protect from weather, just to protect your body, that's all. Then you don't worry about your clothing. You don't need to buy so many things, right? That your mind is free, Even though your friend wear branded one, very expensive one, you don't care, Your mind is be yourself, right? So that is, if you do not have craving for clothing, your mind is free. You have a freedom of mind, That is a distraction of lobha regarding with the clothes, right? Therefore, comparing to lay people as a monk, right? So we we have less craving regarding with the clothes. We don't worry about the clothing. It will be about 3, 3, enough. The more we have less clothing, the more we are free. So therefore, that is distraction or craving for clothing, Nibbana. Right? Nibbana means is as far as the clothing is concerned, you don't worry, you don't have any worry, you don't have any minute suffering. No minute suffering means cessation of suffering. That's Nibbana, right? That's Nibbana. Normal Nibbana is not real Nibbana, I will not say that, not real Nibbana. According to Venerable Sariputta, distraction of lobha. You destroy your lobha regarding with the clothing. That's clothing Nibbana. I will say that, simply I will say that, So therefore, if you can destroy lobha, dosa, moha, that's Nibbana. That's Nibbana. Very simple one, very simple one. Nibbana is not replaced. Not replaced. Because, of course, we human beings crave for so many things, Because of that, if somebody say, do not crave for so many things, people may not like it, right? Normally we are thinking that craving for something is good, right? We crave for music, we listen to it, very pleasant too, right? Later I will talk about it in later part. We have a different type of craving, different degree of craving, different degree of lobha. Okay, next one is kusala chaita. So they are called wholesome because they are mentally healthy. If you don't have lobha, dosa, moha, your mind is healthy. Morally blameless, protected of pleasant result. Protected of pleasant result. If you do not crave for clothing, it creates pleasant result, right? The first thing, you don't need to spend so much amount of money for that, right? Another thing is, you don't need to compare with your friend, right? Whether you don't need to worry, about what they wear. What they wear. These are pleasant result, right? You have a freedom. Your mind is getting lighter. Pleasant result. You eat a lot of food. You eat, the food that is not suitable for your body because of craving. Then you learn that you need to go on a diet for your health, right? You're trying to reduce your craving for food. Then you stop it, you stop it. Then you're trying to choose a good food which is good for your health, right? So you're trying to reduce your lobha. Because of that, you became healthier. This is a pleasant result, right? Pleasant result. You reduce lobha. That is good. It's a pleasant result. Pleasant result. Okay, this is called kusala. Chaita is chaitas rooted in one or another of the 3 wholesome root. Number 1, opposite of lobha is called non-greed. Alobha, non-greed. If you do not have greed in your mind, you'll be able to renounce unhealthy food, right? You'll be able to renounce the habit of spending so much amount of money for clothing like that. Renunciation. Renunciation. You will be able to renounce somebody who is making a lot of negative consequences in your life like that. Non-greed, opposite of lobha. Sometimes we have attachment to somebody. That person is making a lot of problem in your life. Because of law, because of attachment, you're trying to approach, near that person. You cannot stay away from that person. But if you can reduce the amount of greed, attachment to that person, you'll be able to renounce such unpleasant people, right? Unpleasant people like that. Non-greed. We can call it renunciation. Sometimes we call it letting go, right? Letting go. We cannot let go. We cannot let go many things in our mind. Because of that, then it have a lot of negative consequences, right? Negative consequences. You cannot let go your mother, your father, who passed away a few months ago, right? As a human being, quite natural, right? Quite natural. If you cannot let go, thinking about your departed father or mother, you will suffer, right? Because of lobha. It doesn't mean you have to forget about your mother. You can still remember your mother, not with the attachment, lobha. So therefore, non-greed, in other words, we call it renunciation or letting go, alobha. Another one is non-hatred. If you do not have hatred, then it's called non-hatred. Sometimes we can call it loving kindness, right? You take care of somebody or you take care of animals without any expectation in return. Also, compassion. When you see suffering people, you trying to, the intention to help them. It's called compassion. Non-hatred. So you hear unpleasant sounds, you see unpleasant people, you encounter unpleasant experiences in your life. But here is no hatred, no anger, no irritation. That's called no hatred. It's good, right? It's good. It's called kusala. Non-hatred or loving kindness, compassion. It is the root of wholesome actions, right? The root of wholesome actions. Another one is non-delusion. Non-delusion. Your mind is, in your mind there's no delusion, very clear, clarity of the mind. It's called wisdom, understanding. So later we will have to learn what is delusion. What is delusion? If you know delusion, you know what is non-delusion. So that means if you know greed, you know what is non-greed. Opposite of greed is non-greed, right? Alobha, adosa, amoha. Later we will use in Pali. Alobha, adosa, amoha. So they are the root of wholesome root. You are treating people nicely. You smile people sincerely, smiling sincerely. That's because of non-hatred. If you have hatred to one person, you cannot smile, right? Maybe unsincere, not sincere smile. You can pretend, you can pretend to smile, but it's not a real smile. So what I mean is, if you are treating people nicely, if you are smiling people, smiling sincerely, that's because of non-hatred, right? Non-hatred. If you are renouncing, if you are giving away what you have, that's because of non-greed. You don't have attachment to that, that things, right? So that's called non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Especially non-greed, non-hatred arises because of wisdom. you have a wisdom or understanding. Okay, so aloba, adosa, moha, they are the root of wholesome actions, the root of kusala chaita. These three wholesome root are stated by the Buddha in many suttas as the root of all wholesome deed, kusala wholesome deed. You can see in Kalama Sutta and Samadhi Sutta, many other suttas as well. Okay, up to here, any question, anything you want to discuss? Kusala, akusala? Okay, no, then let's continue. Chaita. Vipaka is resultant consciousness. Both wholesome and unwholesome chaita constitute karma. Karma here is volitional action. Karma simply means action. So here, after doing wholesome and unwholesome, after doing something based on kusala and akusala chaita, you will have the result. The consciousness that arises through the ripening of karma are called vipaka chaita, resultant consciousness. So these chaitas are the result of wholesome and unwholesome karma. Vipaka. Because of past karma, kusala chaita, you was born in this life. The first chaita arises in this life are vipaka, the result of your past karma, kusala chaita, right? It's called vipaka. Later we will have to learn. We call it rebirth consciousness. Chaita that arise in this life for the first time, vipaka, because of the result of your past karma, right? Past karma. Kriya chaitas are functional consciousness. It is neither karma nor it result. It involves action. So here, the word kriya, the word karma are the same. But there's one difference. One difference is this action is not karmically determinate since there is no ignorance and craving when one is doing some activity. So in that way, it is not capable of producing karmic result. In the Pali Canon, the Buddha sometimes use karma vadi, kriya vadi together. Karma is action. Kriya also action, your action. But when you are doing something without ignorance and craving, that's called kriya. So therefore, we normally say that kriya chaita arises only Arahant and the Buddha, only two individuals. There is two chaitas, we call it kriya chaita, that arise in normal people. Only two chaitas. So the rest, 80 chaita arises only in Arahant and the Buddha. The reason is, when the Buddha is talking to somebody, there is no lobha, dosa, moha in his mind. He is talking to that person. The Buddha may blame one person because he is blameworthy. The Buddha may be using a very high tone, to somebody. Go away, do not stay here like that. But there's no dosa here. because the Buddha is doing that for the welfare of many people, you know. Suppose somebody is disturbing here. One student is making a lot of noise, intentionally, you know, intentionally, quite often. Not one time, not two times, quite often. Then I will say, please go. Please leave the classroom. I will say that. But doesn't listen. Stay sitting. Then I raise my voice. Please go out. But if I do it with the dosa in my mind, that's called karma. That if I do, even though I raise my voice, please go out from this classroom. You may think that I'm talking with the dosa. But in my mind, no dosa, thinking if I letting go out, and the other people can study, peacefully. Then I look at what for the welfare of the rest of the students, right? The students. But here is a no dosa, based on understanding, based on compassion, compassion to the rest of the students. So that can be called Kriya Chaita. Because no dosa in my mind, right? No dosa in my mind, no moha in my mind. So therefore, as a normal people, of course, when we are doing something, we do based on lobha, dosa, moha, right? If I do not like one person, then I will say with the dosa, right? Dosa. So therefore, if we do something based on lobha, dosa, moha, in other words, based on ignorance and craving, that's called karma. But the same action, you see that drive one student from this room. You may think I do it with the anger. But if I do not do it, I do it with the compassion to the rest of the students. Then that is called Kriya Chaita. Of course, technically, according to Abhidhamma, we cannot say if those chaita arise in normal person, we cannot call Kriya Chaita. But later I will talk about it in details by using one sutta. Huh? Okay, so I hope that no question, right?
Sorry, I have one question.
Okay.
So you mentioned that if you let's say you drive a student out without anger, then you call it, you sort of classified it as Kriya Chaita, right? So my question is, if let's say it was, like you mentioned, it was based on compassion and things like that, would that not be wholesome Chaita instead? Because, yeah.
Yeah, wholesome Chaita, yes.
So it's both wholesome and Kriya. Because there's wholesome, unwholesome, Kriya, and resultant, right? So if you classify it as Kriya, then is it not wholesome, or is it wholesome instead of Kriya? Because Kriya, technically, we cannot have because we are not Arahants and Buddha.
You're right. Actually here, I just briefly explained. In later part, I will explain in details. I need to answer your question a little bit, need to elaborate, right? Normally, Abhidhamma say that Kriya Chaita can arise only in Arahant and the Buddha because they don't have ignorance and craving, right? But we still have ignorance and craving. Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami still have ignorance and craving. So therefore, whatever we do, we call it karma, not kriya, right? That's according to Abhidhamma. Here, that's my personal point of view, That's nothing to do with the Abhidhamma. That's my personal point of view. As a normal person, if we are doing something without ignorance and craving, in other words, without lobha, dosa, moha, we can call it Kriya Chaita. if we cannot call it Kriya Chaita, we can call pseudo Kriya Chaita, right? Which is similar to the original Kriya Chaita, right? Later I use the word pseudo functional consciousness. I use because I am talking to the student to go out from this class based on compassion to other students, understanding that if he or she no longer attending this class, the class will be peaceful, quiet. My compassion is to the many students, right? Many students. Compassion is, I want to say, adosa, non-hatred. Then I do it non-hatred, based on non-hatred. According to Abhidhamma, my action is called kusala chaita, of course, kusala chaitas. But I rather call it kriya chaita, right? That's my personal interpretation. So later I will quote what the Buddha taught. I will explain in details. Okay. Anything? Then let's talk about 5 type of feeling. 5 type of feeling. Vedana. To enumerate 89 chaitas, Minyo Abhidhamma, this book, use 5 type of feeling by way of faculty method. By way of faculty method, interior. Not a emotional aspect. So when we try to classify emotional aspect, there's only 3, 3 emotional aspects. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant. It's the emotional aspect. But here, the Minyo Abhidhamma trying to use the faculty method. Because when we learn 22 faculty, so in that 22, we have 5 feeling. So we take it from it. So the first one is a sukha vedana, feeling caused by physical pleasure. Then after seeing pleasant thing, then you have sukha vedana. After smelling, a good smell, pleasant sensation. Sukha vedana, feeling caused by physical pleasure. Actually, sukha vedana is a mental state, Vedana is mental state. That feeling arises because of physical pleasure. The weather is good, right? You have a good sensation in your body like that. Now, next one is a dukkha vedana, feeling caused by physical pain. When you go out under the hot sun, physical pain, right? Physical pain. Then when you have a serious diseases like a headache, right? Physical pain. So because of that physical pain, sensation will arise. Unpleasant sensation will arise. So that is called dukkha vedana. Another one is somanasa vedana, mentally unpleasant feeling. Mentally pleasant feeling. When you think about your memorable trip last week, then you will have a mentally pleasant feeling in your mind. You like it, you enjoy it. When you think about it, you get kind of pleasant feeling, pleasant sensation in your mind. That's called somanasa vedana. The next one is domanasa vedana, mentally unpleasant feeling. When you think about yesterday unpleasant experience in your job, the moment you think about it, unpleasant sensation will arise in your mind right now. So that's called domanassa vedana, mentally unpleasant feeling. Next one is upekha vedana, neutral feeling. Neutral feeling. Neither pleasant or unpleasant. So we have so many neutral feelings in our mind. Sometimes, if we do not have a pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling, that's called neutral one. Altogether, 5 types of feelings. So before we learn 89 Cheda, we need to know these five. So I think we need to learn Pali, Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, Somanassa Vedana, Domanassa Vedana, and Upekha Vedana. Okay, then can you repeat after me? Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, Somanassa Vedana, Domanassa Vedana, Upekha Vedana. So we are trying to classify feeling according to faculty method. So feeling here is not an emotional one. It's just sensation. When you have headache in your body, unpleasant sensation, right? Unpleasant sensation. So when you are mindful, when you aware of, then because of that, unpleasant sensation, you don't have any mental suffering. So you think that you know that if I take medicine or if I drink water, then that headache will go away. Knowing that you don't have any mental problem or mental suffering. So therefore, feeling here is Vedana is not an emotional aspect, just sensation. Go away. Knowing that you don't have any mental problem or mental suffering. So therefore, feeling here is Vedana is not an emotional aspect, just sensation. Okay, then let's talk about akusala cheta. Lopa mula cheta. Chetas rooted in greed. So we have 8 lopa mula cheta. Actually, don't worry about learning Pali language, Pali word. Not so many things. Only at the beginning you may have to struggle. So later, not so many words. So we are using Pali because it's easier for us to teach and also to learn in later part. Lopa mula cheta, 8 lopa mula cheta. Chetas rooted in greed. Sometimes, based on greed, we do something. We speak, we think. That's called lopa mula cheta. That sometimes, based on dosa, we do something. That's called dosa mula cheta. And sometimes we do something based on moha. It's called moha mula cheta. So altogether, 12. Lopa mula. Mula is the origin or the root. When you look at the tree, right, the root is important. If you cut the root, then the tree will die out. Similarly, when you cut the loba, dosa, moha, all your action will be died out. But I still remember one student asked, if somebody became an arahant or somebody is doing without loba, dosa, moha, we can call mindless. No, there are so many mind here, right? Like Kriya Cheta, right? Kriya Cheta. So, mula is the root or the origin. Loba mula cheta, dosa mula cheta, moha mula cheta. Okay, can you repeat after me? Loba mula cheta, dosa mula cheta, moha mula cheta. Okay. Then, before we learn 12 akusala cheta, I want to talk about unwholesome karma. Unwholesome karma. Those unwholesome karma arises because of akusala cheda. Right? So we need to know it. Unwholesome karma. Unwholesome karma. Those unwholesome karma arises because of akusala cheda. Right? So we need to know it. 10 causes of unwholesome karma. So we have 3 bodily action. Number 1 is destroying life or killing, panadipada. We already know, right? Here is not just killing, it's also including harming other people as well, right? Harming other people. Sometimes making unhappy, you know. That's also one of the unwholesome actions. Destroying life, panadipada. Taking what is not given. Taking what is not given. Stealing, you know. Taking what is not given. Arinadana. We are not talking stealing, you know. We use the word taking what is not given. So this is a more, how to say, it will encompass more meaning, you know. Whatever means you use, which is not given to you, that is called arinadana. If you are a government servant, then you make use of, how to say, your political post to get profit, you know. That is also taking what is not given like that. There are so many things. If you are taking a trip, your airlines allow only 30 kg. Then you take 31. 31, 1 kilo is taking what is not given. No? Airline does not give 31, only 30, right? That is stealing, a kind of stealing. You bring something which is not allowed to bring, you know. This is also taking what is not given, kind of stealing. So many things, right? Then you threaten somebody, you know. Then that person became afraid and give it to you. You think that is giving, right? No. It's also stealing, a kind of stealing. So there's different type of stealing. You threaten one person. That person gives you because afraid. It's not a... No, if we use the word stealing, you know, it doesn't cover. But if we use taking what is not given, it's also a type of arinata. So different type, so many things, right? And engaging in sexual misconduct. This also unwholesome karma. You are doing those unwholesome karma because of lobha, dosa, moha. Lobha, dosa, moha are the root of all these unwholesome actions. So we call it unwholesome karma, right? Unwholesome karma. We have four Vave actions. Number 1, speaking falsehood, telling lie, deceiving other, like that. Speaking divisively, through savacha. Speaking divisively, you want to divide 2 people. You want to divide 2 parties. You want to divide 2 countries. You want to divide 2 families. Speaking divisively is unwholesome actions. You're trying to divide 2 people. Behind there is the root, either because of lobha or dosa, right? Those lobha dosa arises because of moha. Then speaking harshly. Some people speaking harshly, you know, blaming other people, using harsh word, you know. That's because of unwholesome karma. That's because of either dosa or lobha, like that, right? Lobha. The next one is engaging in destructive speech. So the last one covers so many things. Engaging in destructive speech. So by talking negative way, it destroys your benefit. It destroys your life. Normally, we always say engaging in idle chatter, gossip, right? Gossip. Normally, we are translating in that way. No, actually, the literal meaning of sampapalapa is distracted speech. So it covers so many things. When you're reading that, in the 5th chapter, we have to learn. 5th chapter, we will learn in details. Suppose if you are gossiping, it destroys your life. It will destroy your benefit. Suppose if you enjoy gossiping, then people will look at you. She is not serious. If I go away, she will gossip like that, right? Then she will lose trust like that. Sometimes, without knowing whether it is the right time or wrong time, so you talk somebody, right? Somebody is, your mother is busy. Your mother is busy. Then you go there and talking, right? You do not know the right time. That it destroys your life. No? Your mother became angry, where yet at you like that, right? So all these are engaging in distracted speech. Sometimes you're talking not based on rules and regulations, right? Then your speech is baseless. Then it also will destroy your life or your benefit. So engaging in distracted speech. So the last one cover the rest of negative speeches. The rest of negative speeches. It's not just saying idle chatter. It's not just gossip. It cover a lot. Later we will learn it. So we are using unwholesome speeches because of akusala chetas. Because it is 3 mental action. So the first one is having full of longing, full of greed. You want to get something that is not owned by you, something owned by other. Having a way and holding wrong view. So these are the 3 unwholesome mental actions. Those mental actions arises because of lobha, dosa, moha. So they are called unwholesome karma, akusala karma. Those akusala karma arises because of akusala chetas. Akusala cheta arises because of lobha, dosa, moha. The origin of akusala cheta is lobha, dosa, moha. The origin of our akusala karma is akusala chetas. So we have to know in that way. If you know it, that is wisdom. According to Buddhism, that's wisdom. Wisdom is opposite of moha. When you know lobha as a lobha, dosa as a dosa, moha as a moha, that's wisdom. If you know akusala cheta, 12 akusala cheta, you have a wisdom. When you know unwholesome karma, akusala karma, you have a wisdom. That is called amoha. Amoha wisdom. That is called, we call it right view, right? Right view. Samadhi. Let's talk about by way or route. According to the suttas, the root of any or 10 unwholesome actions are threefold: greed, hatred, and delusion. Right? We already talked about it. But Abhidhamma proposed different method, perhaps more precise way. Normally, in the suttas, when you are killing, the original killing is lobha, dosa, moha. 3. The Buddha mentioned 3. stealing, lobha, dosa, moha, 3. Stealing can arise or killing can arise because of 3. Either lobha, dosa, moha. Sometimes people kill because of lobha, right? They want to get what they belong to, right? So therefore. But Abhidhamma trying to propose different method. So this is a according to Abhidhamma, CMA page number 208, chapter 5th. So later, don't worry, we have to learn. Just I want to mention briefly. Delusion associated with any type of unwholesome actions. So delusion is the cause of everything. Because of delusion, you have a lobha. Because of delusion, you have a dosa. So therefore, in dependent origination, avijja, paccaya, sankhara, right? Avijja is in moha. It's the origin of every unwholesome things. One physicist, I think, very famous physicist, Mr. Dawkins from England. So he have a documentary about delusion. He also caught delusion, caught delusion. He write the book called Delusion. And also he do a lot of documentary about. He also talk about. He also make a documentary about called Delusion. Another one is the root of all evil. The root of all evil. The root of all evil. He intended to say delusion. So actually, it's very interesting. He used the word the root of all evil. That's nothing but delusion. Because of delusion, because of moha, we are doing evil things, right? Evil things. Actually, he intended to denounce religions. Normally, he did denounce religion, especially cult religions. So, according to him, people believe in God because of delusion. According to him. Delusion, moha, associated with any type of unwholesome actions. So here, killing, harsh speech, away. So they arises because of dosa. Of course, firstly, people do not have understanding or sympathy. If I kill, he will suffer. No sympathy, so therefore they kill. Based on moha, dosa arise. Because of dosa, they kill, according to Abhidhamma. Hard speech. If you have compassion or sympathy to people, you will not use hard speeches, right? So that means you don't have such understanding. That is amoha. Because of that, when they are making some problem to you, then you became angry. Then you start to use ugly speeches, right? Nasty speeches. That's called the root of hard speech, according to Abhidhamma, is moha and dosa. Away, of course, there's a dosa. You have an away in your mind because of not understanding, because of having delusion in your mind. So killing, hard speech, away. So the root of all these unwholesome karma, hatred, as well as the delusion. One is sexual misconduct, covetousness, and wrong view. So they arises because of lobha, according to Abhidhamma. Of course, lobha arises because of moha. Based on moha, lobha arises. Because of lobha, you will engage sexual misconduct. You will have a covetousness in your mind. you will have a wrong view, according to Abhidhamma. So the remaining 4 unwholesome actions arise from the 2 roots. It can be either because of hatred or greed. But according to the suttas, every unwholesome actions, the origin, the root of all unwholesome action is lobha, dosa, moha. So when you compare suttas and Abhidhamma, sutta is the origin. So you have to favor to the suttas. Okay, so that's all I want to say. Any question? Any question or any discussion? Okay. Yeah, okay.
Bhante, thank you so much for your explanation. Just a thought on my mind that if you talk about harsh speech, if one were to speak harshly to another person, a deliberate action, but out of compassion, because some people you don't speak harshly with them, the message don't get through. So would this be considered as unwholesome?
Oh, yeah, it's good. Good question. Sometimes the parents use hard speeches to the children, right? But in their mind, they want their life beautiful and meaningful. According to commentary, it's considered, it's not a akusala. It's not a akusala. Okay. But you can, when you read the sutta, so you will notice the Buddha also used hard speech sometime. The Buddha condemned, using very hard speeches to monks who are making a lot of problem, like Devadatta. And the Buddha used harshly. And therefore, some people think that the Buddha is doing out of hatred. No, not out of hatred. By blaming, by using hard speech, and also very strong, tone, right? Strong tone to one individual. Then the Buddha see that the other people will understand, wow, this is a very serious case. So therefore, the Buddha take strong action. They will have, many people will benefit from that. So that's the reason why the Buddha denounced and using very strong terms to Devadatta like that. It's not a akusala, right? Akusala. As a boss in the company, right? Many people, different mind, need to use very strong term, strong tone, language. It's not if it is based on compassion for other people, sympathy for other people, it's not a akusala. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bhante.
Okay.
Thanks for explaining it. Everything, it goes down to, we look at the root, rather look at the root as well as the action.
You're right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sometimes I think here one thing to take note, when you look at the root, we need to not to forget about moha. Sometimes, even though we have we have compassion to somebody, out of compassion we give something, right? Then because of thing that you give, so that spoil, that spoil a passing or young boy, because of lack of understanding, because of moha, right? You do not know whether I should give or I shouldn't give, right? So that moha also the root of, unwholesome or unethical action. So you, out of compassion, out of love, you give something harmful to your young boy like that, right? You do it out of compassion, out of love, but moha, based on moha, right? Okay.
Please answer the question.
Yeah, regarding these three bodily actions, destroying life, does it include animals or insects?
Anything.
Then
Where
what
is the
about
life? Yeah.
taking things not given to you? Well, somebody dropped and you found it, and it's finders keepers. Is it considered as taking things not given to you?
It depends on your mind. Suppose somebody dropped something, they are just you see
It was
that.
there for quite some time, and then you come down, you saw, you
I
take
mean,
it.
yeah.
Is it considered as not taking things not given to you?
Yeah, I will come to that. So somebody drop. You know that gentleman dropped that
We
thing.
return back
Then you take it.
keep quiet.
You keep it because you know that belonging to that person, right? This is stealing. But of course, quite some time nobody is there. Then you quietly take it, keep it in your pocket. Then that's considered also stealing. One thing, another thing is the thing is quite some time nobody is there. That you think that you cannot find the owner, then you keep it. It's not stealing. So therefore, intention or motivation is very important, right? Motivation is very important. Sometimes if we, suppose I say Buddhist man, very serious. Suppose somebody is an expensive one, then I intention to steal, I touch it, The moment I touch with the intention of stealing, I break one winner rule, which is a small one. Then I'm trying to move it a little bit, big one, Just move it a little bit, Then you're breaking very big winner rules like that. It depends on our motivation. So therefore, if you take it something, no owner, at that particular moment, your mind will decide. You're trying to, if you, normally, I think you are trying to look at many people, right? Also, at the same time, you don't want to make it trouble. You do not give it to the police like that. It's not a keeping. It's not a stealing.
Well, the last one is homosexuals and lesbianism considered as misconduct, sexual misconduct?
Sorry?
Homosexuals and lesbianism, is it considered as sexual misconduct?
I will not say that. Suppose two gentlemen fall in love with each other. If they are faithful to each other, it's not a sexual misconduct. Actually, it's my understanding. So if they really love each other, it's not a sexual misconduct. Suppose two gentlemen, they love each other, they are their life partner, then they get married. Not here, right? Here, not allowed to do so. In the West, they can get married, and then one person have an affair with another lady or boy. That's a sexual misconduct. It's nothing to do with whether you are lesbian or whether you are gay. So it doesn't matter. As long as you are faithful to each other, it's okay. Actually, this one is very wide. Normally, I discuss this topic in my Sutta study class when I talk about sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct. It's not a sexual misconduct when they are faithful to their life partner. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Okay. So, one more question if you want.
Thanks.
If you want, you can ask one more question. If no, then let's call it a day. Thank you. Yo varatam bhavaro manu jesu Sakya Muni Bhagava Gata Kecho Paragato Bala Vidya Samanghi Dan Sukatan Saranatha Mupemi Agavi Ragama Ninjama Sokan Dhamma Masangadat Mapatikulan Madura Mimamba Gunan Suvipatan Dhamma Mimansara Natamupemi Yata Chate Nama Apalamahu Chatusu Sisu Purisayugesu Atacha Pogala Dhammata Sate Sangami Mansara Natamupemi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. See you next week.